Hello, thank you for joining me on my Learning Space podcast. My name is Teacher Thomas, and welcome to my Learning Space. So let's go straight into trap number one. The first trap that parents and teachers must avoid is the trap of misplaced intelligence. This trap occurs when we place too much focus and emphasis on a child's intelligence quotient. It's like you kind of center your focus on academic intelligence alone. Here is an example. You could have a child, either as a parent or as a teacher in your class, who is not performing, according to your expectation in the academic, studies in the academic area. And that creates a certain challenge to parents and teachers because they immediately think that the child is not intelligent. And the first trap, actually, and the biggest trap, is the trap of believing that your child is not intelligent. The moment you believe that, it begins to pose a lot of challenges in terms of how you perceive the child and also how the child perceives themselves. So the point is, while intellectual abilities are important, it is crucial to recognize and also to nurture a child's emotional intelligence, the creativity of the child, the social skills of the child, and other strengths, kinesthetic skills and things like that. Because focusing only on IQ, will create undue pressure and unrealistic expectations for children that may not be gifted in the left side of the brain. Because the left side of the brain is considered to be controlling things like, math, reading, writing, all these skills that are measured by our academic setups. Then the right side of the brain controls the things that we normally don't have a standard test for in the school. Things like creativity, social skills, but also on the most important part, the part of emotional intelligence. We do not have standard tests to measure these areas. So looking at academic intelligence as the only type of intelligence begins to breed a problem, because you will think that your child is not intelligent when in actual sense they may just be differently intelligent. They may be differently gifted in other areas apart from academic intelligence. So every child is intelligent and capable of learning and succeeding academically. However, people are not intelligent in the same areas and in the same measures. And therefore, the way we develop and the way we learn significantly differs from individual to individual. Our learning pace, our learning interest, and everything is significantly different. So understanding holistic intelligence begins to help you know how to decipher the problem of having misplaced, concept of intelligence. So the thing is, every child is born with the ability to make it. So just let them blossom at their own pace. It is important that we create an environment where the child is able to grow and experience diverse learning experiences that allow them to bring out the best in them. But as to whether they are intelligent or not is something that we should not actually be debating about. Your child is intelligent. It doesn't matter the grades they got in the previous test. It doesn't matter the learning pace they are at. It doesn't matter what their academic achievement has been like this far. The fact is that they are intelligent. If we care enough to know what their unique intelligence is, we will be able to discover it. And again, we can nurture that intelligence and help them to build motivation to now improve in the areas where they may not be doing well. The fact that your child is not doing well in mathematics or in English or in any other subject does not mean in any way that they are not intelligent. There are many other factors that could be leading to them not doing well, but most importantly, we need to understand that learners will not have the same strengths and they will not have the same weaknesses. And also their learning pace will not be the same. Let's go to point number 2 as I build up on that one. The second trap that every parent and teacher must avoid is the trap of misplaced focus. Now, building up from misplaced intelligence, when we understand that children are gifted differently, it helps us to know where to put our focus. Because if you are only focusing on the areas where the child is not doing well, and you keep bringing that, back to them, telling them and reminding them of how they have not done well, it begins to kind of bring about a negative energy. And I've seen this in the experience I had when I repeated those 2 grades, grade 3 and grade 4, when I was a primary school student, and I saw the effect of it in other friends who had gone through such an experience. But also, most importantly, I have seen this affecting many other children as a teacher. And our approach lately has changed in our school, when it comes to placing learners in terms of those that do not do well and those that seem to be facing challenges, academic challenges. The point we are making here on misplaced focus is that people do not become better by constantly reminding them of what they are not good at. You see, we don't build esteem and confidence in our children by focusing on their weak points or weak areas. We actually demoralize them when our focus is bent on their shortcomings. So here is the key. Motivation is key to creating a bigger room for improvement. And that motivation comes when we praise and actually appreciate children in the areas where they are doing well. So it means that as a parent and as a teacher, I have to discover what my child's gift is or what they are seemingly good at. And that becomes their springboard in order for them to achieve better results in other areas. Are they left-brained? Are they right-brained? Do they have, a lot of strength in their emotional intelligence and things like that? So we must endeavor to build on that premise of understanding where the child is naturally gifted in, and then enhancing that gift and that potential, building on it and allowing them to blossom and to grow at their own pace. Every child is born with the ability to make it. The thing we have to do is creating an environment where they can really blossom. And that requires placing our focus on their strengths and allowing them to work on that as they build up to work on their weaknesses. Last but not the least, trap number 3 is what I call comparison syndrome. This is a very common syndrome, and I've seen it in some of the parents that I've dealt with. This trap is, what I refer to as the most deadly weapon to use on your child. The reason I call it the most deadly weapon to use on a child is because the comparison syndrome involves constantly comparing children to their peers or to their siblings. And this begins to bring in feelings of inadequacy in the child. It begins to breed jealousy and low self-esteem. It just leads to all these negative syndromes. So every child is unique with their own strengths, their own weaknesses, and their own developmental pace. Let me bring this home with an illustration. So there's a time a parent came to me, and this parent happened to have 2 children, a younger and an older one. And the younger one was doing much better academically than the older one. And the parent complained bitterly and said, I expected that the older child would do better than the younger one, but it's the opposite in this case. And immediately I told her, children have got different developmental paces and learning paces. So comparisons can just lead to them feeling as if they are not appreciated, because it's not always the case that the child is not putting in effort and they are not being serious. Sometimes it's just that we have different paces at which we learn and develop and grow. So we allow children to be who they are and not compare them to A and B. So what happened eventually is that this child later on wrote her grade 7 and she did extremely well. The child that wasn't doing as well as the younger sister. And I thought of reminding the mother, I didn't get a chance to though. I thought of reminding the mother that, you see, I told you to give your child chance to learn at her own pace and to grow and develop into who she really is. I wish I had gotten the chance. But you see, the point, and there are many other cases like that. The point I am making is that children learn differently. Our development as individuals is equally differently shaped. So, we cannot become better by comparing ourselves to others. We cannot build others by showing them how less they are of another person. When we compare a child to another child or to others, to their peers, what we are telling them indirectly is that you are not as good as that other person. And therefore, you should, aim at becoming like that person. Or what we are telling them is that you are not smart enough. And what we are telling them also indirectly is that you must become like the other person. And that begins to breed in a lot of, unhealthy habits and unhealthy, feelings. So let's not demoralize children when we unreasonably compare them to others. They are different, they are unique, and they have their own learning space, learning pace, and learning style. So here is the key. Commending and not comparing is key to achieving speedy improvement and progress. When we compliment a child and praise them as a result of what they have done well, it gives them enough room and enough esteem to achieve more in other areas. Do not focus on the negatives, on the shortcomings. Do not have a misplaced concept of intelligence, and do not compare them to any other person. They are unique, they are different, they are single individuals who have a differently designed and uniquely designed brain. So, if we were to summarize what we have looked at, number one, it's understanding the comprehensive definition of intelligence. Number two, it's focusing on the right areas and not on the wrong areas in a child. And last but not the least is not comparing the child to any other person, to any other child. They are unique, they are special in their own way, and they are the best version of themselves. I wish and I hope you find this educative, informative, and helpful to you as a parent or as a teacher. My hope is that I can get your feedback and let's get to see how we can build the conversation around these three areas and these three traps that we have talked about. Write to me or call me and let me hear what you have to say. Let me know which areas we need to highlight more on. Let me know the areas we need to focus more on, and let me know the areas in which we need to build more capacity. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you find it exciting and find it relevant to your needs and to your situations. Thank you so much, and God bless you all. Hello, thank you for joining me on my Learning Space podcast. My name is Teacher Thomas, and welcome to my Learning Space. So let's go straight into trap number one. The first trap that parents and teachers must avoid is the trap of misplaced intelligence. This trap occurs when we place too much focus and emphasis on a child's intelligence quotient. It's like you kind of center your focus on academic intelligence alone. Here is an example. You could have a child, either as a parent or as a teacher in your class, who is not performing, according to your expectation.